Let's see if I can make this a little easier on you. Alright, my camera equipment is currently out of storage. It's a bit better. Yeah, so, I mean, there's no one here, but whatever. We'll talk about shit that's unrelated to the story first. I've been making little resin bubbles just to have some fun, which means I got some new shit to test out for you guys. Ichabug. Then fat kid. Hey, love. Yeah, love again. Okay, I love you too. I just finished making some pork belly to render fat down, and as you can tell from Cleo's size, she loves pork belly. So yeah, she's like, "Stop calling me fat, goddammit, Dad." I'm just trying to see if I've got anything I can use to light up this one side, but whatever. I'll just do this. And that will work. You're sitting on top of an ammo box right now. Anyways, what the fuck am I doing? Well, I'm sorry. I haven't had a story for you guys in a while. It's been pretty fucked up in my regular life. Got a new job. Had to get away from the other one because one of the people I was working with was just a bully and a pain in the ass, and I don't need that shit for a simple cover. And since Mr. W took up, I was gonna say residence in my head, but I guess like if a Wendigo latches onto you or whatever, is it really in your head or is it on your soul or whatever? Anyways, yeah, like there's not a lot that Department H can do for me anymore. They've kind of COVID funding kind of had to cut some of the Department H funding, so I'm getting seconded to doing stuff, which is why I've started picking up little projects and things like that. Like the other day, I got nailed by a huge hairy hominid, and that was only like 45 minutes south of here. So his name is Steve. He's actually very nice. Huge hairy hominids are not the same as Sasquatch or Bigfoots or anything like that. They literally just look like people after you shave them down, but they look like the hairiest fucking mountain men ever. Sorry, my hands have been hurting recently from a little bit too much fighting. Anyways, I started wondering whether or not I should tell you guys my very first hunt, but I'm still not quite ready for that one because that one was the first one's a bit rough. So instead, I decided I would do kind of the Batman Year One thing, tell you a little bit about the first bit of training. Now, I said I've never gotten like really official training. That a lot of the stuff that I've learned was from my dad's friend Jerry, who was a green beanie. He lived in Canada after he split the U.S. until he got a little too deep into the coke, and one day put the gun under his chin. Actually, he didn't do that. He put it to the side of his head. Anyways, if I get to Jerry. Oh, Jesus Christ, that shit's nasty. It's old granddad's bourbon. It's 50%, but it tastes like rot gut. Anyways, sorry, flashbacks of bad things. I can really see old scars. And who just texted me? That's gonna be my wife, probably. Oh, no, it's literally a YouTube notice of me having just gone live, so hi. Yeah, fuck it. Anyways, so yeah, anyways, year one. Didn't get official training, but I got to do, like, I've been doing martial arts for years. Started with Taekwondo when I was really young. I think it was like 6 or 7. Did karate, did some judo. That didn't last very long. Same thing with ninjutsu. I actually found someone who taught ninjutsu. But that one didn't last very long either. I just didn't really like the feel of the people I was learning from. Um, Krav Maga, Savat, old Russian dude who used to drink me under the table. Um, you name was Ivan G, right? Really inventive. Anyways, stars tattooed here, so you can kind of guess. Anyways, he taught me a little bit of just basic nasty fighting, not sistema, but just like utilizing your environment. I guess that's sort of what sistema is, but just utilizing your environment and being a nasty fucker. Take Krav Maga and just kind of amp it up that little bit. Rather than just hitting someone in the nuts, you're hitting them in the nuts with brass knuckles, that kind of shit. So yeah. Anyways, those were all like kind of who I trained with or fought with throughout my life before Dep H picked me up. And after the first hunt, I started seeing, if I could get some actual training and stuff like that. And I haven't had a huge amount of firearms training, like official firearms training, just because the gun laws here are so restrictive. For instance, there's no way I could walk to the range or have fun at the range with like my own MP5. That's just not a thing. Fully auto, you need a special license. It's a royal pain in the ass. You got to go through hoops. And for private owners, yeah, that's just... illegal conversions are one thing, but I'm not even going to talk about them because I think we've all known some dumbass who's taken a semi-auto 22, put a 100-round banana clip on it, and just sprayed and prayed until until the damn thing blew up, or he started cooking off rounds right in there. Dirty rounds at 22, but still fun. Anyways, yeah, like getting an AR base platform up here now is actually impossible because they're considered assault rifle. It's basically anything with a box mag and a pistol grip. So SKSs and stuff, which I think have killed more people than any other gun, including the AK. I think that's true. I'm not entirely certain. The AK and their variants might have edged them out, but not positive. Anyways, you can still get an SKS, which is a good little plinker. But yeah, I've never actually had the official training. I've been taught how to use a pistol, how to use it tactically, so on and so forth. Jerry, again. And both my grandfathers were in the military. Papa was in World War I. He still had his SMLE, and he taught me how to shoot on that. Iron sights, long range. And then Grandpa was infantry. So he taught me how to shoot on semi-autos, bolt action, pump action shotguns, trench sweeper things, stuff like that. He even had an old wobbly wibbly, but he threw it away and because it was near the end of its life. Anyways, I see someone keeps popping in and out, so this is probably going to be a bit of a ramble until I get someone to interact with. But after the first mission, I'll give you a hint. The reason I thought I needed training was the first mission went a little pear-shaped. My first hunt was a bit nasty, which is one of the reasons why I haven't really talked about it. I'm sure someone's going to make a pop your cherry comment or something like that, but it was not a pleasant experience. Let's easily go with that. But yeah, anyways, afterwards, we started talking, Fireman H and I, about the need for some additional support and all of that. And that was when they started revealing that they had like notebooks and journals and all of that. And because there wasn't really any official, like Dep H doesn't exist really. It's pretty much like the accounting department, pretty much, right? Like spreadsheet from G.I. Joe. It doesn't really exist, but it does. Anyways, combat accountant. Like a combat wombat. Get that reference. Well done. Anyways, we started kind of talking ways through, and one of the ways that they decided would be simple would be if I joined. Um, so, for instance, there's the reserves in the U.S. and there's National Guard and so on and so forth. Army reserves. There's actually like a cadets program and stuff like that in Canada, and it's nice and simple. And um, I'm not quite sure what the equivalent would be down in the States, but yeah. Anyways, you can join the reserve, you get basic training and so on and so forth. But have you ever run into the reservists who are, or the National Guards who are, they're scary. Like they come across as the super professional. You're wondering why they're not like in Delta or the SEALs or Green Berets or something like that. Well, for me, it was a reserve group, a special reserve group that was, they just had a number, reserve group number 16. Um, and I don't know what the number was a reference to, if it was a reference to anything. But yeah, basically, I got to train with these guys. And it was, I only got to train with 2 squads. Um, but they were pretty fucking amazing. Um, Again, I didn't get to do any firearm stuff just because you kind of like, you still have to be at the CFB, Canadian Forces Base, to do a lot of that kind of training. And having a civilian who's sort of in the reserves but doesn't show up on any paperwork and literally walks around with just his name on his uniform, and no salad bar, nothing, no rank insignia, nothing. That gets a little weird when you're going to CFB Edmonton, CFB Wainwright, or CFB Cold Lake, which are like the nearest ones to me. So yeah, we didn't do any of the firearm stuff, but what we did do was a lot of training. And what I found out through a lot of meetings and a lot of sit downs was these guys were kind of like um, a Department of Military Sciences. Um, the sergeant who I mentioned previously, so someone was moving outside my window. I got my security lights on. I kind of come up through that. So yeah, I didn't meet him then. And I'll get back to him eventually with a lot more booze in my system, maybe. But yeah, so he's kind of a good example of what these guys ended up being. So we did a lot of training, a lot of hand to hand, a lot of getting out of situations. Because the thing about Zeds is there's a lot of types. Like, I haven't even covered half, a third, a quarter of the types. Because even within Resurrected, there's subtypes like voodoo zombies. If they're brought back by voodoo, by a true practitioner, none of those are stitched up. And the books all say that's because the soul's been trapped inside this body. Or sometimes it's the Loa. A Loa has been trapped inside the body. It's angry, it's trying to get out, and that's why the Zeds lash out. With them, you don't have to worry about bites, but there's no limit to their strength. Like, basically, until the body falls apart. Like, they can lift a truck heavy enough that the arms will fall off. Somebody's calling me. Ooh. I wonder if this is going to be guys I can fuck with. Hello? Amazon Prime, blah, 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 blah. If you want to unsubscribe, press 1. No, fuck off. I hate those fucking fake calls. Get them all the time. Started just messing with people. Hi, you've reached Department H. It's my personal favorite. And then I give them fucked up SIN number, and I say my name is Captain Steve Rogers. So, yeah. More often than not, they don't get it. Anyways, yeah, voodoo zombies. Supposedly, if you cut Oh yeah, I was telling you how strong they were. Lifting a truck heavy enough that like the arms will actually rip out of their sockets. Like they can lift a regular truck relatively easily. I saw one try and lift. I think it was the back end of a 3 ton. And both shoulders dislocated. The muscles were still there, and it got it a little bit off. But then after that, it ended up with its the stitching cut. So that's that. But yeah, for them, you got to be careful. Super strong, fast as an average human. But the only target is the stitching on the mouth, which you can do with scissors, pruning shears, machetes, knives, broken glass. One guy was saying the can of like a tuna lid. It doesn't matter so long as you can just do the stitching. You can also rip the stitching out if you can get into it, but remember it's being stitched through. So usually it's just stitched through the lips. Unless this starts rotting, that's pretty hard to rip. Anyways, so yeah, we started doing some basic training, mostly avoidance, stuff like that. The guy who was teaching was a huge Aikido guy. So he was really good at moving people and using the whole momentum thing against them, but he had difficulty kind of working with some of the techniques you needed at the end. Because you're redirecting, you're arm locking, you're throwing, so on and so forth. But a lot of times it's really just move past their grasping hands or biting mouths, and the usual adage is true: take care of the spine or the brain. More often than not, they drop. There was a virus variant where it didn't matter. You could put 30 rounds into them. They were still technically alive. It was like a parasite and prion fuck up weird. It was really bad. But it would shut down everything that didn't require like the parasite moving along. So if it got shot in one lung, it would just shut that lung down and keep going. It was really terrifying, actually. And they brought in some specialists and stuff like that. I met one fucking weird guy. Could not get a read on him. He was, I would guess he was American. He had one of those accents, like a really practiced foreign actor trying to be American. So it was really that just kind of Midwestern-ish, neutral American accent. You really couldn't get a bead on where he was from. Scared the fuck out of me. Just like the aura you got off of him. Like he would do whatever was needed. Like probably burn a school full of children if one of them was possibly infected with a virus or something like that could wipe out humanity. That the kind of person who does absolutely what is needed to protect whatever they've agreed to protect. It scared the fucking shit out of me. And such a weird son of a bitch. All right, so I do have a weakness for cookies. Snickerdoodles, peanut butter cookies, all that shit. This fucker would walk around with Nilla wafers all the time. Thankfully, towards the end, I'm not going to say we connected, but he actually taught me the most about efficiency of movement. And Jesus Christ, like the guy he had a computer program that was just fucked up. Skills I've never seen before. Like I have never seen anyone move like that. And I've seen the best kickboxers, Muay Baran. I have seen the top teachers of them. I haven't trained with them. Don't think I'm saying I trained with them. No. But I've seen them move. I've seen them actually fight. I've seen surprise attacks on them. Actual surprise, not that staged bullshit that you see sometimes on YouTube. But I've actually been able to see their stuff. I've seen top tier practitioners in quite a few different martial arts that could hand me my ass handily. And he was better, more efficient, more brutal, no hesitation. So he taught me as much of that as I could kind of absorb. I'm nowhere near that tier, but we did discover that I do have a knack for not concentrating in combat. Let it flow, go with the flow kind of thing. Anyways, that was actually why I brought this up. Now, this is just a lightweight training one, but the first, I didn't actually start with machetes or knives. I actually started with sticks. I trained in stick fighting as sort of, and not Kali, unfortunately, or Arnis. It was more of the Krabi Krabong style. And I originally just trained with like one. But over time, I started training with two, and I broke the other one about a week and a half ago during a training session. So that's why I just have the one lightweight one. But yeah, no, he was one of the ones who suggested I start carrying around clubs as part of my kit. So I started first off with 1.5-inch white oak and ash sticks, one of each. Ash wasn't the best for a club. So eventually what happened was one of the guys on the crew, from the reserve crew, made me a set, and they were 1.5 inch. He had sectioned it and then resined the whole thing together like an epoxy resin, turned it so they were almost perfectly smooth, and then wrapped it in a tape that was kind of like, it was almost like a grip tape. Like, this is just hockey tape, but it was almost like a grip tape, but it bonded. It was very much actually like heat shrink on electrical, because it bonded directly to it. And even though it was split into like almost 6 wedges of 6 different woods, they never came apart. They did burn, which is why I don't have them anymore, but they never came apart when I was using them. But yes, they did burn, and maybe I'll tell you that story one day. Actually, it's a pretty good story. It's really short, though. Really, really, really short. Anyways, yeah, so that was kind of the basic of training and stuff. And a lot of the guys on that crew were actually really, really good. And they were, even though they were in the reserves, like we had, it kind of felt like the French Foreign Legion a little bit. It kind of felt like one of those pickup groups, because in Canada we do a lot of work with like the Germans, the Russians, the Brits, the Americans. We do work with the Israelis. We do work with the Greeks, the Italians. There's the Argentinians, Chileans. Holy shit, Brazilians. Not a lot of work with Mexicans or the Colombians, but there's not a lot of countries that Canada hasn't worked with or trained something. So there was a lot of secondment. One of the people there was former SAS. You're never former SAS, just like you're never a former Marine. You're a Marine. But yeah, there's a lot of that kind of thing. So, people with British accents in the Canadian military is not unheard of at all. French, I call it, the Quebecois are in there all the time. But then you get like the occasional person who this guy had Moroccan accent, not Paris French. Yeah, and it was kind of funny because we got to talking, and I found out his sister was Algerian. So, but yeah, anyways. After a few months of training, or I was just doing it on the weekend because that's just the way the reserve kind of works, they decided that it was kind of time to stop the training, and that was when I picked up the landscaping cover, which was a great cover, and that's actually, like I said, like I haven't had a cover job since Mr. W took up residence in my, I'm going to say soul because it's a little bit more metaphysical. So I've kind of had to do my own anyways. New job, which is nice because it's going to go back to landscaping, which I love. I absolutely love it. It's not quite landscaping design, which is what I'm moving towards, but it's the start of that. Anyways, I love how I've been rambling. There's literally been no one fucking on here for more than 3 or 4 minutes at a time. Like, is there comments? Live chat. Apparently it was set for top chat, so if someone was commenting, I didn't see shit. Whoops. Anyways, the Department H decided that it was basically done. It was, you've had your training. It had been quiet for a little while, which was kind of nice because it gave me some time to get my thoughts together and all of that stuff. So I guess technically it was my second mission that happened after that. And it was actually fairly simple. And so I get to go to cool places and kill people. Zeds. Kill the dead, basically. What's that old joke? Join the army, go to exotic places and kill people. Well, in this case, I got to go to a campsite outside of... what the fuck was the name of that place? I had it a second ago. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking Rutgut. So I drink more to help me remember. Jesus fucking Christ. Fort Chip. Fort Chippewa. It actually wasn't near Fort Chippewa. It's closer to Fort McMurray. It has actually, after the forest fires from a few years back, it doesn't even exist anymore. That entire area around Fort McMurray was just destroyed, absolutely beyond decimated. Whatever, ninimated. Decimated means 1 out of 10. So let's say decimated survival. I don't fucking know. Anyways, yeah, it was up near Fort McMurray. It was actually on where normally the ice road would be in wintertime. But it was about, I'd say, 55, 60 kilometers north of Fort McMurray. Excuse me. Anyways, got the phone call. I had to go up there. So Air Canada at that time had an agreement. So I hopped a flight from here to Fort Mac, landed in the airport, which it's not really fair to say, but it's kind of a dingy little airport. It's really fucking dark. Landed on the red eye, so I think I got there around 6:30 in the morning. Rented a truck right from the airport, and then just hopped out. Upside with the arrangement is I was able to bring some stuff because carrying on batons was not exactly something you could do. This was still post 9/11. So yeah, we basically, with the arrangement, I was able to carry in my checked bags some of the stuff I needed. Hadn't moved to machetes at that point, since I was knowing that I was actually going into the bush. I did have just a little bush knife, little Mora, fire starting kit, all of the basic bushcraft stuff that I normally carry, and the early oak, the 1.5-inch oak batons that I used to use. So I go out to the campsite, and it took quite a while to get there because the truck could only take me so close. And then it was a pain in the ass fucking slog. I think I got within 7 or 8 kilometers with the truck, and where I left it, it actually got stuck. And going back, I did survive, obviously. Fucking, that's the only problem with telling you guys these stories. The thrill and the suspense and everything, well, I'm telling you the story, so obviously I fucking lived. So it's the story that I'm hoping you like. Anyways, The truck got stuck, and I had to get it winched out of there. I got to about 7 kilometers away, and I grabbed my bag, my sticks, and everything, and started walking. Because it's almost like wetland. Um, it took me, Jesus Christ. I got out of the truck at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I got to the campsite just about sundown. So I would say probably about 7 o'clock, 7:30 at night. It's more northern, and this was a little bit closer to fall, actually. Anyways, I get to the campsite, and yeah, how is it? Like, it's wet, it's cold, and the campsite is in complete and utter disarray. Like, if I didn't know what I was looking for, it would have looked like a bear had just come through, knocked everything over, uh, smashed up everything, and the people had run away. Except none of the food had been actually taken. Now, they were smart, and they actually put their shit up in a tree, in a bear bin. Like, there's actual bins you can buy for it. There was a canoe, so they had canoed in. There were 2 canoe backpacks. I don't know if you've ever actually seen them, but they look like a water barrel, and they basically strap to your back. And both of those were up a different tree, and the trees were actually opposite ends, and they were far enough away from camp that even if a bear wanted them, it shouldn't have bothered the camp. There was remnants of some food, so they'd been eating in camp, um, but like the food was still on the plates. Um, just basic paper plates. There was cold um, cold corn on the cob. There was a pot of tea still on. Yeah, Charles. There was a pot of tea still on the trivet that was sitting on that. Sorry, I got a fucking notification on my screen. There was a pot of tea still sitting on a trivet on a log. Um, it basically it looked like they had just kind of fucked off rather than a bear coming in. So I started looking around, and it's getting really dark at this point. I've got a flashlight. This was before I learned that a headlamp was super handy. So I got a flashlight, and I had a UV flashlight. I've got one around here somewhere. It's over there. I'm not going to grab it. But I had a UV flashlight, so I was looking for blood and stuff like that. 365 nanometer flashlight, I think. I picked it up, and it was supposed to be like a blood tracker. I didn't see fucking shit with it. I saw a couple of cool insects. That was about it. But I'm walking around. I got the flashlights. Just to make life easier, I had them taped together so I could just click, and add both. Turn off one. Okay, UV. Turn off the other one. Yeah. Anyways, I couldn't fucking see anything. It's pitch black by like, I'd say 8:30. I have checked the camp completely. The tent is still standing. The sleeping bags are inside, but they're all messed up and fucked up. The zipper is ripped. They've got a tarp over top, and that's already been knocked down. There's some string of paracord. Well, it didn't look like paracord. It looked like cheap ass string that was holding it up. The canoe is still tied up to a tree. So where the fuck have these guys gone? Well, between the choices of hiking back to the truck in the dark, which, if you've ever done any sort of hiking in the dark, add to that hiking through the wetlands in the dark, and it's cold, and it's fucking fall in northern Alberta. No. So I decided, fuck it. I wasn't really confident in my skills at that time because, like I said, the first go round had gone pear shaped. But I was confident in my bushcrafting skills at that point. So what I did was I'd set up. So I'm looking for these little. I'd set up. I basically used their camp. I slept in their tent. Searched it completely through, didn't sleep in their sleeping bag, actually just slept in my clothes, boots on, whole kit and caboodle. But what I did was I set up these things around camp. Let me grab. Hopefully they got batteries in them still. If not, I'll grab another one. Yep. Awesome. Okay, so it's these little fucking things. I love them. I have probably over a dozen. I always carry them with me. They're motion sensors. Really fucking bright, I suppose. Yeah, that's arm's length. But when you're sleeping and that comes on, it's really rather nice. Setting up this, let's turn that fucker off because she's surprisingly bright. Motion sensor light, right? Hook them up anywhere, put them on a tree. Only when I was setting up the camp, I set them up inside. So if anything actually walked through, it had 110 degree field on the motion sensor. I actually set up 5 of them so they had overlapping fields so I could kind of pinpoint where things were. And I set them up pointed in so that they would shine right on the tent. Now, I actually just left the tent door open. I got bit by mosquitoes and shit like that and some black flies. We don't really have chiggers in northern Alberta in fall. Still got some black flies, still had some mosquitoes. But I had set those up so that the light would come on. I would know roughly where they were. Had the batons next to me. It was really uncomfortable sleep because I was literally sleeping with like my backpack as my pillow, but I still had my field knife on, boots, whole shit. So I got to bed probably about 10 o'clock because there's really nothing else to do when it's dark, and it's not like I had gone, planning for entertainment or anything like that. I was keeping my ears open. I was keeping my eyes peeled as best I could to let the fire go low to embers. And they had set up a really nice camp. It would have been a fun camp. So about hour and a half after I fell asleep, the lights came on. And it was coming on. The one thing I should have done was actually just kind of pull my toque down over my eyes because the lights came on and fucking blinded me because I sat up and it's the 2 lights that are right in front of the tent door. And dumbass me, I'm staring right at it. Second time in the field doing this shit. And when I'm actually just camping, I put 2 sets of these, one out, one in. So, I can see the animals if they're outside. I can see myself when I'm walking around to go take a piss. Anyways, blinds me. I grab my batons. I go out of the tent. I'm half blind and I'm running towards the light, which is dumb. Take a second and assess. Yeah, pro tip. No, I'm fucking stupid. I start moving forward. That's why this story is called Year One, because this is like the Batman fuck up shit, But yeah, anyways, stumble out, and I've got, again, sorry, I broke the other one, my training ones the other day, but I've got the 2 batons in my hand, and I've got one resting up here and one out front in a guard, and I'm just kind of stumbling towards the light, not even thinking, and I bump into something. Yeah, it was the fucking stump that they had used as one of their sitting posts. I bump into it, trip, fall, go down. Good thing. Fucking good thing. Because something lands on my back. Something heavy lands on my back. I kind of freak out a little bit and I scramble away. Just kind of back up as best I can. And I kind of flip over and there's a Zed. Fresh Zed. Looked like a person except for the fact that it was missing half its face. Pretty much like, I think it was the right eye socket, the nose, this cheek, and I want to say it still had its ear. But yeah, imagine kind of like if a claw took off all of this. It'd be pretty cool Halloween makeup, I guess. But yeah, not at that time. Not at that time. Brown pants moment. Brown fucking pants moment. Like I said, this is basically my second time in the field at this point. So I get up on my feet and I start going to town on this thing. There were 2 sleeping bags in the tent. There's one of them on me. And I'm now beating it about the head and shoulders. Knees and toes, head and shoulders, knees and toes. That's why I'm a nut job. But no, I'm beating it around the head and shoulders with the 1.5-inch oak batons. And it's not really doing anything at this point. Head's wobbling, bouncing. I'm not breaking the skull. I'm not snapping the neck, anything like that. Every hit on the shoulder is just fucking bouncing off. And then I look up. Another one of the lights has come on, and I see number 2. This one looked fine, except for, like, when the body dies, the blood doesn't pump, right? So usually what happens is you get pooling. Zeds are very similar. If they're reanimated or something like that, the body looks like it did when it was reanimated. If it was an old corpse or if it was formaldehyded, it looks like that. Hello, kitten. Cleo fell asleep at the beginning of this and she just woke up from her nap. Just a sleepy kitten. Sleepy kitten. Right. Anyways, this guy, he looked relatively normal, except there was no color in his face, blue on the lips, and he had chunks of stuff stuck in his teeth. By the way, it's really disturbing when you see a zombie who's like got gap teeth and has chunks stuck in the gap teeth. Usually, yeah, it's one of those weird ass fucking side notes. It's really disturbing. Anyways, I use anyways a lot as my transitions. It's just how I talk, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, he starts coming in, and thankfully, like I said, I actually managed to step to the side of this guy, and yeah, this is hard to do with 2 ones. So I'm gonna do. Ooh, I have 2 of these. These are throwing axes that were gifted to me. But I'll hold them like this as if they were sticks. I was able to move his arms over using 1 stick and body rotation, and then shove him off with the other one, step up, and I brought down one of the sticks right down here. Now, that's not amazing unless you got a lot of weight, or, fuck, I guess axes, or a little club mace thingy. Yeah, anyways, it comes down right here. Yes, you heard it thump against my head. I barely feel that anymore. And it bounces right off. But thankfully, I'm not a complete nutter idiot. And I bring the other one down, and it just cracks against the side of the head. Done. Crack the brain case. This guy drops. I've still got the other one behind me. And it's gotten up. Not fast, not shambling, but this, like, I don't know what number of zombies, because do you count the zombie bear? Anyways, like, this is within the first dozen zombies I've ever dealt with. But I do the same thing. Arms are reaching out for me, but I'm not, like, church had trained me to kind of take myself out of combat and just kind of get into the zone and not think at those moments, but I was thinking, and so I start, whack, 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 whack. Dumbass, right? Like, you've just pulled off a really good finishing shot, basically, on this guy with your left hand. I'm right-handed, by the way. That's why this isn't my right hand. But I'm whacking, and I'm hitting mostly arms and stuff like that, and shoulders, and because it turns out the Zeds were a couple that had gone out camping. Weird shit had happened. Dep H got a ping, and I got called. I don't know how they get their pings. Honestly, I have like this image of like a shaman, a Buddhist priest, a Taoist monk, Catholic priest, a Lutheran priest, a bunch of like ESP guys in a room just, oh, I feel something. Well, let's tell them, that kind of shit. No clue. All I know is I get the phone call and I go. It's not even a quick response team. It's a zero response team. It's they call me and I go. But yeah, anyways, freaking out, whacking her. Yeah, it was a her. Arms. And finally, I hear a crack. I finally managed to break a forearm. And so the arm. Okay. So I broke across here, which was actually apparently really hard to do. I must have just been freaking out because the arm here bent like that. Like it was still attached, still floppy and fucking shit, but it moved like your wrist does here. So it shortened the reach just a little bit. I step in finally, and I'm not really even thinking at this point because I've never really been a fan of. I'm going to use this and this. Never really been a fan of like two-handed like that. But I'm not even fucking thinking, and I swing for the fences with both sticks. One connects, I think, about here, and the other connects really, really, really badly on the neck. I say really, really badly because I wasn't aiming for there, but thankfully, yeah. The head moved this way. I hit the neck perfect. The head snapped back. I heard this crack, and she fell. You would think mission accomplished at that point, right? Nope. So early in this part of, what do I call it, career, calling. It's so early on in all this that I kind of stuck around. I just walked away for a better nap. Hey, bro. Just doing Canada's Great except for the Zombies Year 1. So basically after training finished, first mission after that. So, yeah. I actually just finished all the action parts, you jackass. You're going to have to go back and watch it. But yeah, so I'm there. It's still like 3 hours, right? Yeah. You're going to have to rewatch it. It's still like 3 hours to any sort of functional light. But like I said, I mean, I've still got these little things hooked up around there. So I'm sort of confident that since there was 2 sleeping bags, there's 2 dead Zeds, re-dead, double dead, however the fuck you want to call it. There's 2 unmoving Zeds. I am so fucking keen at this point because of all the stupid training and everything. I zip-tied the corpses. I zip-tied a zombie like this, and then zip-tied the feet, and then zip-tied their hands together. It was weird, but I was able to get some sleep for about 2 hours. The lights did come on every once in a while, and this time I actually remembered to, as I'm coming up, shade my eyes. And it was animals at this point. And it's sort of kind of a decent adage is living things and dead things don't really like spending time in the same place. So double dead Zeds. Is that a good way to say it? Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Double dead Zeds. They're just another corpse in the woods to deer, bear, coyotes, otters. Like they're just something else. But undead Zeds. Fuck, I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of like scale or something like that. Anyways, Zeds that are still active tend to freak out living things. That's why dogs are great. Cats tend to not give a shit until something unnatural gets really close. I swear Constantine was right in that Keanu Reeves movie. They're like already halfway there. I didn't mind that movie. He was so much better in the animated series, though. But I kind of started to realize that. And I had my notebook on me. I started making those kind of notes where, okay, a deer was around, spooked me at, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. I wasn't wearing a watch at that time. I don't know why. But yeah, and then right around the time where it actually got really light, I'd already been awake for an hour and a half, just kind of sitting by the cold coals of the fire. Uh, when the light actually finally come up, because when you're in the forest, Jesus fucking Christ, does it seem to take forever. And when you're in northern Alberta, it takes forever in the fall. But I finally started to slog back to the truck, and I got to the truck. Thankfully, I wasn't dragging those fucking corpses. I didn't have to. The location was pinged, so cleanup crew. That's one great part about doing this. There's always a cleanup crew. I think I maybe had to clean up twice. Ugh. Oh, sorry, the smell. Oh, don't think about it. Don't do not try and imagine the smell of a dead Zed. A resurrected corpse is nasty enough on its own. After it's been moving around and then you kill it again, it's disgusting. Just go with that. Gooey. It's gooey. Anyways, back to this. Get back to the truck. It's probably been about 4 or 5 hours since I left camp because I was a pain in the ass fucking slog through the wetlands. And I get to the truck and, yep, just like I said, the fucking thing was stuck. I had parked it on what I thought was relatively solid ground. There was stones and everything nearby. But it was like parking on solid muskeg. It like actually settled a bit. So the chassis was actually sitting right on top. So I get to use this fancy ass cell phone that I've been given to call for a tow 60 something kilometers north of Fort McMurray for a truck that I've rented after flying a red eye from Edmonton to Fort McMurray to go hunt zombies. Yeah. Yeah, tow truck driver wasn't really like read up or anything like that, so it's not like I could share this story. I'm still kind of wired and tired at the same time. So while waiting for him, I couldn't sleep. I just couldn't sleep. I even set up these little things on the dark spots because I couldn't sleep. I just sat in the truck, cracked the windows a little bit, tried to sleep. Um, didn't really have any food. I had some. I don't think I'd made pemmican for that trip. I know I had jerky that I picked up at the airport and shit like that, and just drank that. Dude, took 3.5 fucking hours to get out there. It's already mid afternoon. It's cold. It's not like I can light the truck on fire to keep me warm. And running it, the engine's literally sitting right on top of like really wet ground. So, fuck it. I just kind of wrap myself up in a mylar blanket that I always carry around. And in case you're wondering, yeah, I always carry those fuckers around. And just tried to relax my body a little bit. Right around the time he shows up, I started noticing that from using the sticks, I had actually punched a couple of times. So I had some cuts on my knuckles, and I take out my first aid kit, and I'm putting a little bit of ointment on and some band-aids and shit like that. And this dude shows up, takes a look, literally looks at me and goes, "Fucking city boy." And yet, you know what? I hadn't spent that much time in that part of northern Alberta, so yeah, I totally didn't know. I went, "Yep, I'm a dumb fuck. Can we get it out?" Yep. Backs up his flatbed, hooks up a chain, put the fucking truck in neutral, and we start hauling it backwards. Well, we kind of had to lift the back end, which his flatbed had one of those, like it was a flatbed, and then it had the lift, so you could actually have like one vehicle on the flatbed, one on the other. Fucking 2 hours, got it out. Sit down in the cab as we're driving back. Out like a light. Get to Fort McMurray. He goes, "Where do we drop this off?" I said, "The airport." Enterprise rent a car. I had an account. Department H had an account for fucking everything. God, I wish I still had access to that money. Anyways, yeah, drop it off. There's water dripping from it still. He literally turns to me and says, "All right, you know, what account, blah, 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 blah." Hand him the corporate credit card, which at that point was my credit card. I had to do expenses. It's, it's about $1,000 fucking tow from 65 kilometers away to get it out of the bog, get it on the truck, drive my ass back to Fort McMurray. And he said I snored the entire time. Thank you, fucker. I just somehow stopped a zombie apocalypse. Probably not. Those two were so isolated. But anyways, we get back, drop off the truck, I pay $1,000 out of my own fucking pocket, make a phone call, tell him I've done that, tell him I need a flight. I'm on the next flight. I got home probably 2:30 in the morning the day after the day. So the second day after my flight out, I hit the sheets, fell asleep. Apparently that cell phone rang twice. Thankfully it wasn't a ping, it was someone trying to confirm that I had receipts for the tow. Yeah. But thankfully after that, I mean I still had there were still missions that went sideways and shit like that, and I've told you a couple of the fucked up ones. And like I said, we'll get back to the sergeant because I did see him again after that, after the Pickerton Pig mission. And I'll tell you about the first mission that went pear-shaped eventually. But I just heard the ding on the oven, which means that the pork belly that I was rendering the fat on has cooled. The fat has now rendered, and I can finally use it to cook up some steaks that I've been waiting on. Yes, I cooked pork belly so I could cook steaks in pork fat for my dinner tonight. Fucking A. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for listening to what, for probably the first 25 minutes, was very rambly. I had no one to talk to. I was so lonely. Nut job lonely. Fuck, you can really see my scar. Anyways, ignore the scar. I'll tell you about that one day. No, actually, it's really simple. Some asshole tried to mug me with a dollar store steak knife, and he sliced at my cheek. But he sliced at my cheek because he drew. I'll use the plastic knife that I made. He had the knife like this, and I said, "Was that from the dollar store?" Because it was a dollar store knife. It had like that paper thing that he literally like pulled off. When is that from the fucking dollar store? And he looks at the knife, and I kicked him in the balls hard. He was like maybe a 120-pound fucking meth head, young kid too. And as he's falling forward, he lashed out with the knife, and it cut me right across the cheek, and just deep enough that it left that scar. And yes, Jeff, I had that scar when I came to visit. What was it, 2 years ago? Yeah. But it healed up. It healed up really nicely. You can only really see it when I smile, and, well, I don't smile. I fucking see it when I... Nah, whatever. Fucking whatever. Story's done. Thanks so much for watching. Yeah. Just remember, guys, Canada's great, except for the fucking zombies. Cheers.